morning, Molly. It is time for our next project. I hope that you've been having fun painting and doing all of our other projects. Today, we are going to start something different to give you a break from drawing and painting, and we are going to be doing some paper cut out collage butterflies, and we are going to be working on the idea of symmetry. So we are going to be, like I said, creating a couple different styles of butterflies, big and small, and making them look the same on both sides. The supplies that you're going to need are the large sheets of paper that are colored. That's going to be your butterfly bodies. The brown paper for the body of the butterfly. You're going to have a stack of these rectangular papers. You're going to use that for your butterfly designs. You are also going to need some glue. I have a glue pen here with a clear tip and some extreme glue stick glue. You could also use your Elmer's glue, whichever you prefer. You will need a pencil. You will need a scissors. And you will also need probably a marker. We're going to do a little bit of extra designs on our butterfly with those. So gather all your materials and let's get started. So Molly, before we get started with our symmetry project, we need to learn what the word symmetry means. Now I'm going to be showing you some items that you can find in nature because nature is filled with all sorts of symmetry. Symmetry is when things are the same on one side, the same as they are on the other side. So if you take an object and you divide it in half, you have basically the same thing on one side as you do on the other. So if you look at this butterfly, you can see that if we put a line down between the body and divided the body in half, that the wings themselves and each half of the body are the same on each side. They have the same patterns on the wings and the same shapes. You can see that also with this leaf. And if we put a line down the center of that maple leaf, you would see that they were the same, basically the same on both sides. Now you can find this kind of symmetry in many places in nature, in flowers and leaves and butterflies and insects. And here we have a picture of a tiger's face. Your face, Molly, if you put a line down your face from the top of your head to the bottom of your chin, you would see that your face is the same on both sides. And that's what we call symmetry. The other one I wanted to point out on here is the crab. Isn't that kind of fun? He's got the same number of legs on both sides. And if you folded him in half, right? If he was foldable, then you would see that it would meet up and match on both sides. So the idea of symmetry is something that artists use all the time in their artwork. And so it's an important thing to notice in nature and to notice and think about when you're making art. So we are going to concentrate on butterflies today, and we are going to make a butterfly symmetry project. You want to grab all the supplies that came home with you. You need your large sheets of paper and then this stack of the small ones. And you should have your scissors close by, your pencil, and the glue. Butterflies that we looked at, they have the same shape wings and some really fun colors and shapes. We are going to make some butterflies out of our different colors, and we want them to be maybe different sizes and shapes. So we're going to, each one will be slightly different. So we're going to start off by making a wide butterfly. So I want you to turn your paper. So this is vertical, okay? And that would be like the hot dog. And this is horizontal. And that, we call this kind of like the big hamburger hamburger style. I'm telling you this so that when Mr. Warner tells you these things in the future, when you're back in school, you will know what he's talking about. We're going to fold it the hamburger way. And I'm going to take these two corners and match them up to these two corners. Now, we want the wings of our butterfly to be the same. So in order to cut them out in a bunch of different pieces would be really hard. So instead, we are going to draw it just on one side of the paper. I want you to follow my directions and we will create a butterfly body together. So we're going to do a half circle and I'm going to kind of do the body a long line that then meets at the edge. Now, just in case, this should be, you want the folded edge. So this is where it's folded, it's connected, that's the side we're drawing on. And your corners should match up. We're going to then put in a wing. Now the wing is going to actually be attached to the body, and it's just basically a big oval. An oversized jelly bean. What do you think, Molly? Or maybe it's like just a really big bean, like a pinto bean. We're going to do one more of those, and we want it to connect again to the line of the body. I want you to just take a good look at this. You can see it comes right to the edge. And we are going to work on cutting this out in one piece. If you need help, ask your mom or your dad, okay? I'm going to hold it on its side and it's open up here, but I want to hold it together and I'm going to start by the head. Just following along my pencil line. I want you to notice when I'm using my scissors, I've got them, but my 3 fingers in one side and my thumb in the other so I can move it, okay? And I'm really cutting closer to this center part because it's usually sharper here and I have more control. So I'm going right in. I know you've done this and we've done cutting projects, but it's just a reminder. Now I also am moving the paper kind of around my scissors like that. It would be really hard to turn my scissors and come into here, so instead I'm going to come this direction. And I'm just going to go up to that little spot. And I went a little farther, but that's okay. We're going to pull this part off. What's fun, Molly, is that your sister Kaylee is going to be working on some positive and negative space projects made with cut paper this week. And this is kind of fun because we have created, you can show it to her and she'll be like, ooh, I learned that already. So we have our butterfly, which we cut out, positive, the actual thing. And then we have all the space that was around it, which in the end creates another butterfly, which is really fun. This would be negative space. There's no object here, but there is a space all around it that we have. Anyways, not to get confusing, you might want to give this to your sister. She might like it. We've got our butterfly to start decorating. So you can see that we already have a beautiful shape that is symmetrical. If I put my pencil down the center of it, you can see that it's the same on both sides, which is really fun. Our butterfly needs to have some patterns. So what we want to do next is I want you to choose some of the colors that I gave you, sent home. Some of the paper is a little bit stiffer, so just note that when you're cutting, it might be a little bit harder. So I'm going to start with my red paper. Now, wherever I put a red shape on my butterfly, I need to put it in the same spot on the other side so that it's symmetrical. That means I'll need 2 of them. So I'm going to fold my paper in half, just like we did for the body. And I'm going to draw my shape on here. And I think I'll do a nice oval. So you can see, there's my oval. I'm going to do the same thing, Molly, that we just did. Now, I did not draw, you can see this is where it opens. I didn't draw against this edge because then they'd be connected. But I want these ovals to be separate so I can put one on each side. So I've got two of them and I can design my butterfly, start to design it. So you can get, here we have those negative spaces again, look at that, got two. Anyways, you can set that aside and we're going to choose, I think I'm going to take my red again because I really liked how that turned out, and I'm going to put some red spots down here. And you just want to keep doing that same thing so that you'll cut one time but you'll get two pieces. Again, I'm going to do another oval or kind of a teardrop. I'm making it pointy. You can make whatever shape you want, Molly. So I'm just going to go around it just like we did for the other ones. You can kind of see how that looks. Oh, this is getting more exciting. After each cut, it's more and more exciting. So I'm going to grab an orange one because I feel like the orange would look really good on top of that red. I actually have an orange strip. I'm just going to use that so I can save that for a bigger piece. But again, I folded this, even the skinnier piece, in half. You can use your big one. And I'm going to make kind of a long, well, it's about as long as that, another long. These that we can put on top. Oh, I told you, it keeps getting more and more exciting each time we add to it. Next, I'll use this really bright blue. This paper is really stiff, so I am cutting it in half, and I'm going to hold it together when I sketch on it. I think I'll make circles, but I'm only going to have to cut out one, and we'll get two, because I'm going to hold my paper together. I've got that right here. Maybe I'll tuck that underneath. But just anytime I do it here, I need to do it on the other side as well. Wow, that blue is really bright, Molly. I don't know how much I like that. I have to think about that. I'm going to use my green next. This one also is a little bit stiffer. I almost want to make the body green. Okay, so I'm going to fold it in half again. It is a little, so you can see when it's so thick, it doesn't, it gets kind of, it's got a bumpy fold. So you can just cut it in half if you want. This time I'm going to do two shapes, which means I'll get four. It'll be fun to kind of arrange our butterfly patterns and play around and find the shape and the pattern we like most. What do you think of that? It's getting pretty fancy. I think I like that off to the side. Do we want to introduce another color, or should we repeat one of the colors we already have? I'm going to repeat the blue. I'm cutting it in half again because it's so thick. I'm going to be fancy, Molly. I'm going to make a heart, and I'm going to do it again on this side. And you can make, if you don't know how to make a heart, you can do two curved lines and connect them. It's kind of like the letter U. And then basically you make the letter V on the bottom. You can practice on another sheet if you want. I don't know if that's where I'm going to leave it, but I think I'm going to like those. I'm just going to cut out my last one. I could start to put some of my shapes closer to the body. Ooh, I think I like that. We start to get what we call symmetry, the same on both sides. I have a brown sheet of paper, which I will be sending with you as well. And I'm going to make a long shape for the body. Basically, I'm just cutting off the corners and just going straight across. And then I can round it. You can do it whatever way you would like. There we have, oh, I like that. It needed a little bit darker body. I'm going to trim that down a little bit because it's a little tall. There we have it. Our first symmetrical butterfly. We're going to have to be careful when we glue this down to make sure that we keep it the same. You can use your glue stick, or I have a tacky glue. It's like a glue pen. I think I'll use the glue pen for this skinny part. You could also just use your regular Elmer's white glue. Put that down. And I'm going to just press down. Oh no! I moved my design. I'll just have to remember, however I put it down, I need to do it the same on both sides. If you're working on this, you might want to put a sheet of paper underneath where you're putting your glue on so that it doesn't get on the surface that you're working on. What I think is fun is when I put the hearts in on both sides of the wings like this, you don't think of them as hearts anymore. You just think of them as fun patterns for the butterfly. I'm going to try that again. I tried to glue it as far away from the body as I did this bottom part. I have to check here on this one just to make sure I'm going to glue it down on the right side. And there's that first part of our butterfly. I'm getting more and more excited. All right, I'm going to do these big circles on my top wings, kind of like we had them laid out. I'm going to grab my two red parts. And I want to make sure there's a little yellow border, but I also want it to overlap a little bit with my blue. I think this blue one, can I do it far enough down? I think I might need to scooch it down a little bit. Pressing down on that again, pressing down on this. Before I put the glue on the green, I'm just going to kind of see, do I like it there? I could have it overlap. I think I like it right next to it. Have it a symmetrical butterfly made out of paper collage. I want you to grab your marker now. You don't have to use your black Sharpie. You could use any other markers that you have. You also could cut out little white circles for eyes if you wanted. I'm going to see if I like it okay with the black, and if I don't, I might decide to cut out some circles. So I've got a little eye. I'm going to draw tiny, tiny antennas. You could attach some antennas if you wanted, but remember to keep them symmetrical so they're the same on both sides. You also could put a little bit of detail, but you have to remember to do it on each side. So I'm going to do that on my greens. I'm just going to add these little dots because they kind of disappear, and I'm going to draw an outline inside them. Just like that. I'm liking that. Just trace the inside. But wherever I do it on one side, I have to remember to do it on the other. You can keep adding different marker design if you want. I'm giving him a little smile. You're going to make your butterfly happy too. My butterfly's happy because he's so symmetrical. It's fantastic. Let's see, maybe just a little bit more pattern. Go around. Now I chose a red because it's on top of the red paper. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I've got one more. So it doesn't stand out too much, but just adds a little bit more. We'll put a little repeated shape. Okay, we're getting super fancy. We don't have to get that fancy. But there's our symmetrical butterfly. If we fold it in half, I'd have to fold my brown paper. It would be the same on both. They would touch. All the parts would touch, see? Because they're the same on both sides. Molly, you have 2 more sheets of paper where you can make the butterfly shape. I want you to make at least one more. I'm going to make one, but I won't talk through it. I'll just do it fast so that you can spend more time making your own. The shapes that I use, you can do the same, or you can come up with your own shapes. And then I'll get to see what creative things that you decided to do. I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to go ahead and work on one more. Okay, Molly, here you have it. Our second butterfly that is symmetrical is the same on both sides. You can see that I added some fun little antennas out of my brown scrap. That leaves us with two fun symmetrical butterflies. You have an orange sheet of paper, so you could do one more if you feel like it and you were having fun. If not, at least two. I look forward to seeing them. I hope you had fun working with Symmetry, and I look forward to seeing your butterflies on Seesaw.